So guys, this is Silver Director 2 Janice Parker coming at you live. I'm excited to train on the call. Want to definitely give it up to my coach, Phil Gerdes, newly ranked advanced bronze elite 1, for just absolutely doing an amazing job at the social retail conference. And the entire team, guys, I'm going to tell you what, the Compass Group set the standard in Utah. And so we will be setting the standard again in Atlanta, May 20th and 21st, and we're looking to maybe even do a presentation down there. We'll talk about that later, but I want to make sure you guys, we're going to be on the East Coast, that we pack out the regionals in May. All right, now let's dive in. My topic today is called the three-way call. So it is called the three-way call, and we're going to talk about the what, the when, the why, and the how, and the power of a three-way call. So let's just dive right in. First things first, what is a three-way call? In its simplistic definition, a three-way call is a call between you, your mentor, and your prospect. It's between you, your mentor, and your prospect. So you're looking to actually have somebody on the line that can close the deal for you, essentially. Now, why a three-way call? Well, first of all, it takes you out of the equation. And I remember the first time I heard that, I'm thinking, well, why would I want to be out of the equation? It is my prospect. But there's a reason you want to be out of the equation, because once you're out of the equation, it empowers your mentor to develop the trust, rapport, and credibility with your prospect. And then your mentor can reinsert you right into the process. So it's okay, but the reason is we want to take you out. There is a lot of power that goes with a three-way call. Now I'm going to come back to how in just a second, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about when. And Coach Gerdes, we talked about it as the Compass Group, the leadership, and we said we want it to be after every social, after every one-on-one, after every video, after every webinar. In other words, after every single presentation, you want to make sure that you get your prospects on a three-way call. And let me tell you why. It is such a powerful tool, guys, that number one, it's going to take your percentages up, particularly if you can get a closer on the line, like a Phil Gerdes on the line to close, like a Darian Smith, like a John Smith, a Lee Anderson, myself, a Miyuki. When you can get a Bishop Hardy and these guys on the line to close, it takes your percentages of getting that prospect from being a suspect to a prospect to a social marketer. So you want to make sure that you do that three-way call. It evokes confidence in your prospect. In other words, for a lot of us, our prospect knows us, but they don't know the expert. And when you do and execute a three-way call properly, I'm going to tell you what, that person on the other end, your suspect that you're looking to make a prospect and then a business partner, is going to understand and have more confidence in what you're doing. The next thing it does is that it empowers the expert. If you edify properly, if you set the call up properly from the very first time you reach out to the prospect, all the way to the moment you introduce them to your expert, your mentor, your coach, you're going to empower the expert to drive that conversation. And then the expert, if you've done it right, has the ability to edify you back to your prospect. They have the ability to edify you back to your prospect, which is going to give credence and credibility, not just to your to your coach, but to you as well. So now let's talk about who does three-way calls. Who actually goes through this process of the prospect actually touching more than one hand, right? Well, I actually owned a dealership and coached on a mortgage company, and even with Bishop, you don't just walk into the Bishop's office. There's several people you're going to touch before you just walk into a Bishop's office, yes? Well, I was the finance manager at my dealership, and there were several people that a potential buyer of one of our cars would actually talk to before they made it into my office. So you think about it, they would greet the receptionist would get them a salesperson, the salesperson would take them on a test drive, the salesperson would then get them to do an application. The application came into my office once I saw they were a credible enough consumer. Then I would bring them into my office and meet them. Once I closed the deal, I would get them in to talk to the F&I people about a warranty and all the other stuff we could sell them on. They met the detailer and they're off and running. So guys, this isn't new. It's not just in network marketing where the person touches more than one person. Okay, so I want you to understand, it's been done for years. It's not new, but the better you are at it, the more successful you're absolutely going to be. So now, what are the key components? Okay, and so I hope you guys are in a quiet place. I hope you are taking amazing notes, because there is some information that you're definitely going to want to hear, rehear, take notes on, study, and implement. So first things first is the setup. Right? First things first is the setup. Now, what do I mean by the setup? In other words, there is a process. So I want you to picture a baseball diamond. I want you to picture a baseball diamond, and I want you to picture the baseball diamond with the bottom of your paper being home base, and to the right is first base. And if you go up top is second, of course. You come down to the left is third base, and then, of course, you would bring it home. And I want you to make home base two things, but the first thing I want you to make it is the setup. And I want you to understand, and I know a lot of us don't want to, make a list. There is like this thing in network marketing where we just don't want to make a list. And I'm going to tell you, family, that list is so very critical. And I know that Kenny Dubose, senior consultant, can definitely post the memory jogger. But guys, I want you to understand, yes, you're going to meet people in your cold market, and I'll give you a couple of tips about that, but you've got to make sure that you write everybody on your list. As a matter of fact, Bronze Director 2, Jewel Anderson, says to actually do a phone dump. Like, you want to do a phone dump. Every single human in your phone, if they were good enough to be in your phone, they're good enough to be on your list, right? So you want to make a list of everybody. You want alumni, people in your high school yearbook, your middle school yearbook, any people you went to your kindergarten with, every relative that you can think of. Most of us have very sophisticated family reunions, and you get this list. You want to write the people down that are in that list. Any holiday or birthday or greeting card list, any wedding people that were on your wedding list, any people, the people that you worship with, anybody, people that came to your social that maybe you didn't get a chance to follow up with properly. Everybody goes on your list, guys, because none of this works if there are no suspects. None of this works if there are no potential prospects. And so on home base is where I was talking to a young man today, and I said, well, how many people are on your list? And he said 10. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. Let's just say you were opening an urban clothing store. And let's just say, he's a young guy. And I said, let's just say you were opening that store. Are you telling me that you would spend all the money to open the store, fill it with clothes, and you would have 10 people on your list to invite to your grand opening? And the answer, of course, would be no. This is diligence. And like Coach said, sometimes we want to, as Grandma used to say, put the cart before the horse, but you've got to do first things first, as my coach will say, right? So you got to make the list. Now, so that's home base. So to get to first base is the invite. Now, why was the list important? Because you got to have a list to invite somebody. Like, if there's nobody on the list, you find yourself, guys, and let me tell you, I've been there, I've done that. Coach had to get on me about this like 4 years ago. But you have to have a list in order to make the invite, and then you need to understand how to invite. And what are you inviting them to, right? You're inviting them to see a webinar, inviting them to watch a video, inviting them to go to maybe your website, inviting them to the peak call. Coach is going to do another peak call, guys, so get excited. You're inviting them to do another peak call. But whatever it is, in order to get off of home base, you got to swing the bat. And what does that mean? That means you are going to make an invite. Now, I'm going to give you a sample of a couple of different invites just because my coach is so great at it. And I want to tell you that in my infancy in the industry, I was saying all the wrong stuff. There are keywords that you don't use, like business, meeting, opportunity, But if you're going to get somebody on a video, I want to give you guys the setup for that, because again, it starts with that first phone call. So let's just say I reached out to First Lady Selena. Now, she's somebody I respect, and, I get her on the phone and I say, First Lady, this is Janice Parker. How are you? She says, I'm fantastic, Janice. Great to hear from you. I said, God bless you. First Lady, listen, I tell you what, First Lady, I have started something new that I'm really, really excited about. And you and Bishop have done incredible things, not only in your ministry, but in your personal life, your family life, and the community. And I would love, First Lady, for you to just take a look at what I'm doing and just give me an idea, First Lady, on how you and Bishop would proceed. I don't want her opinion on what I should do, right? How you and Bishop would proceed if you were in my shoes, right? So in other words, that's somebody I respect and look up to. I'm asking for her opinion because I want you to understand more than likely you're going to have to go to her, right? Or, because they're busy people, may not show up at your social, but you can go sit down in their office or send them a link. So in other words, I've set it up, right? And as I am setting that up, First Lady said, well, can you give me more information? And I'm going to say, well, First Lady, I'm just launching this, but I tell you what, it's a good idea, and it makes sense for good people to definitely meet. You would agree with that. And of course, she's going to agree, right? And by the way, First Lady, this is not necessarily, to recruit you, but you would agree that good business is referral business. And so if you understand what I'm doing, certainly you can refer me to other people. Does that make sense, guys? So I'm setting it up. And then here is the key. Here is the first key to the three-way call. Right? So I'm doing the invite. She said, okay, well, Janice, definitely send me the information. Now, First Lady, I understand you're busy. So First Lady, the video is of my mentor, Mr. Phil Gerdes. If I were to send you this link, it's about 34 minutes long. When do you think, First Lady, you'd have an opportunity to watch it for sure? So First Lady Selena says, well, Bishop and I have this on Monday, this on Tuesday, probably right before I go to, Bible study on Wednesday. All right, awesome, First Lady. So if I send this to you now, you'll definitely have watched it Wednesday for sure. Absolutely. So First Lady, what's the best time for me to follow up with you? Is it going to be Wednesday night after Bible study or sometime on Thursday? In other words, I want her to make the appointment, not me. Got it? I want her to make the appointment, not me. First Lady says, you know what? Wednesday when we get home, we're kind of wiped out. Why don't we look at around lunchtime on Thursday? Awesome. So First Lady, I'm going to send this link. Do you prefer I send it to your cell phone or do you prefer I send it to your email? She says email. I'm going to send it to her email. First Lady, so I'll follow up with you Thursday at noon at lunchtime, and you'll definitely have watched it for sure, yes? Yes. So now, excuse me, guys, I'm done with the call with First Lady. But here's the thing. I'm going to text Phil. So let's just say if I were Monica Ford, I'm going to text Janice. I'm going to text Phil. I'm going to text maybe Lee, and I'm going to say, hey, listen, I've got to follow up with my First Lady on Thursday at noon. Can you be on the call? In other words, I've got to get on their calendar. I don't want to just wait and call them, Thursday and just like surprise them. I want to get on their calendar, and between Lee and Janice and Coach Phil, one of them should be able to get on the call. So let's just say Phil says yes. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you why you want Phil to say yes. It's because he has like an 86% closing ratio. So 8.6 people out of 10 are going to get on your team if he talks to them. So definitely make sure you're definitely reaching out to Coach, because that's what he wants us to do. So now I've booked the appointment with Coach. Here is where the rubber meets the road. And Coach, I know you don't know what that old stuff means, but this is where the rubber meets the road, or where the grits, hit the fan, right? Is whether or not, number one, as a network marketer, it is so critical that you follow up when you said you were going to follow up. So Coach puts a reminder in his phone. He sets a date in his phone. It also goes off on his iPad. He writes it in his calendar, and he also sets an alarm to go off so that he makes sure that you follow up with the person when you said you would follow up. So at 5 minutes till, normally Coach is like, don't give me information about First Lady like 3 days before, call me about 5 minutes before and tell me about her. So about 5 minutes before, I'm going to get on the phone. I probably have sent First Lady a text reminding her that I'm going to give her a call at noon. I'm going to tell him about her. I'm going to tell him about the conversation. And here is where the experts, this is where when you are doing a three-way call, this is where, guys, it makes sense for you to study this information, because going from base 1 to base 2 is to edify. So if you're going to go from first base to second, you got to edify and introduce the expert. So what are you going to do? Edify and introduce the expert. And I gotta tell you, I'm gonna tell you like I know. Listen, if you do this right, man, it's game on. So first things first, here are some components of edification. Number one, you've got to understand that you if you don't know specifically what personality type First Lady is, right? Now, it's better if you do. So for those of you who have not ordered Phil Gertis's personal prospecting, I'm going to recommend that you do. But you need to know the 4 personality types. Is she and Bishop a shark? Well, for those of us who know them, yes, they are sharks. But but they are also urchins, which is interesting. And they're also whales. And interestingly enough, they're dolphins, but their primary characteristic is a shark. But let's just say you don't know. Right, let me give you a definition of the 4 personality types, right? Number 1 is shark. That is a person who wants to know, can I make money doing this? I'm not trying to do this for any other reason. I'm busy. If I'm going to put my time in, I need to get paid. The second one is an urchin. And that is a person who, they want details. They want to know specifics. They're very analytical. Like they need to know if 1 + 1 really equals 2 kind of person. The third one is the whale, and the whale wants to save the world. They want to help everybody. They want everybody to win. And then the 4th personality is the dolphin, and that's that person who wants to know, is this going to be fun, or is this like another job because I already got one and I don't need another one, right? So those are the 4 personality types. Well, what is edification? So let me define that for you. Edification is the building up of the person that you're going to introduce them to. The mentor, the coach, your leader. In our industry, we call it upline. This is that you want to build them up. Not with not a fake building up. In other words, the more, according to Phil Gertis's training, personal prospecting, and the more you can actually make it personal, the better it's going to be, right? So now, I get First Lady on the phone, right? I'm going to get Phil on the phone second. When am I going to get Phil on the phone? Second, because I want to make sure that I get her on the phone, what? First. So after I tell him about her, I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to call First Lady. Happy Thursday to you. It's great speaking with you again. How's your week been? Oh, Janice, it's been absolutely fantastic. That's awesome, First Lady Selena. Well, listen, the information that you had an opportunity to watch, what did you like best about it? Well, Bishop and I looked at it a couple of times. It really seems interesting and just like something that won't really interfere with our life. First Lady, I know how you feel. As a matter of fact, my mentor felt the same way because I tell you what, he was a mortgage broker when he got started, and he was already working, 12, 15-hour days, 7 days a week. So you're right on point. This is something that could definitely fit into your life. Interestingly enough, First Lady, I tell you what, I actually talked to my mentor about you, and he would absolutely love to introduce for me to introduce you to him, or I would love to introduce you to him, because you guys have so much in common, and you would agree that when you get a chance to talk to somebody who's been very successful, it makes sense for 2 successful people to kind of connect. Would you agree? Oh, absolutely. Fantastic. So let me get Phil on the phone. So once I get Phil on the phone, before I click over, I'm going to say, Coach, they really like the fact that it looked like it could fit into their life. Now, why am I telling him that? Because the more information I can give him about them before and after they've seen the information, the better Phil can go after the close, or whoever, your coach, your upline, whoever it is that you're using, right? So now Phil said, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's go. Right? And he's going to say that. Let's go. Here is where the rubber meets the road. It is in your edification. Right? So I've edified him a little bit. I told him he was a successful once upon a time in mortgages. Now I'm going in. First Lady, are you there? Awesome. Mr. Gerties, Mr. I'm not calling him Phil. I'm not, I may call him Coach Mr. Phil. I don't know. But I'm definitely using Mr. when I get on the phone and connect the two. Mr. Gerties, are you there? I'm here, Janice. Fantastic. First Lady, I'm just really blessed to have the opportunity to introduce you to someone who has done such tremendous things in his life. It's a young man that I have come to know really as a brother. He is someone who has just reached out and helped so many people. When I tell you, not in the tens or the hundreds, but thousands of people, and probably hundreds of thousands, because he's written a book and he's done some trainings, and he's just that kind of person who loves people. But let me tell you what. One of the things that I respect about him is that he studies the information. As a matter of fact, when he first launched his first company, he studied the information over and over and over again to make sure he was a master at it. And I know you guys are very detail-oriented people, and he is that guy that really knows 100% of the information. But what I love about him, in addition to that, is that he's a family man. He cares so much about, you'll see it. Victoria, Ethan, and Emma, I'll tell you what, if I call him and Emma's laying on his chest taking a nap, he'll either text me or tell me, I got to call you back. My princess is asleep. I'm holding my princess. I respect that because he's a family man. But let me tell you, he's also about getting paid. He wants to make sure that they are financially set up. If anything happens to them, I will promise you that his family has been taken care of. But he has a blast as well. When I tell you, when we get together and we have fun, when we are not building big business, this gentleman has a lot of fun. So without further ado, First Lady and Bishop, I want to introduce you to my mentor, Mr. Phil Gerties. And then what am I going to do? Shut up. I want you to write that down. I want you to circle it. And here's what I want you to understand. I don't want us to just shut up and go on mute when he starts talking, unless he says, Janice, listen, I'm going to have you come back on and get with, First Lady and Bishop. You're going to shut up when he finishes, because if he closes the deal, you hang up the phone. So what happens? I go on mute, right? Coach is going to do his thing. And let me tell you guys something. For those of you who don't know what an expert we actually have in the leadership that we are working with, I want you to understand that number one, the leaders that you're going to put them on the phone with have all done big business. They have all hit top leadership positions in our field of network marketing. So you can rest assured and be confident that as long as you be quiet and let them do what they do, you're going to get someone who actually wants to be in business with you. So whether you turn them over to a Bishop Frederick Hardy, a Bishop Cal Cersei, a Courtney Lynch, a Darian Smith, Bishop F.L. Williams, whether you turn them over to Jay Gerties or Jesse Lee, whether you turn them over to Jewel or John, to Lee Anderson or Miyuki, to Coach First Lady, what you've got to understand is that we're going to close them for you. We're going to close them for you. And if not today, they're definitely going to be so impressed that we will imprint it in their brain that they definitely want to do this, or it's like going to be there. And this is what Bishop Hardy says. He says, if they don't get in, he said, they didn't hear me. They didn't hear me. They may have listened, but they didn't hear me. Guys, I want you to understand that you're going to go on mute and you're going to trust your mentor. You're going to trust your expert to close it for you. So Phil is going to do his thing. I've seen Coach get on the phone with somebody who had not seen the presentation, right? I couldn't get them to a meeting. They didn't want to watch a webinar. I got them straight to the expert. So I went from home plate to second base. And I've seen him get on the phone, talk to them for 3 to 4 minutes, take the next 2 to 3 minutes to do the application, and in minute 7 or 8, we're ready to put them in the system. That's who you're dealing with. So you've got to trust that if you get out of the way, we're going to close them and get them on your team. So let's just say we get to the end of it. And coach, is taking the application, and he's setting up a follow-up time or what have you. And he says, well, listen, First Lady Selena and Bishop Frederick has been excellent meeting you. You've definitely joined the right team. Between Janice and myself and the other leaders, we're going to take very good care of you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get you in the system. I'm going to have Janice or myself, we're going to follow up with you to set up your fast start training. All right, well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you and goodbye. Here's where the amateur messes up. When coach hangs up, I come off mute and say, wait, Bishop, I'm so excited, and you're going to love this, and we're going to travel, and we're going to When coach hangs up, you hang up. Right? When coach hangs up, you hang up. Don't come back and one time I did, and coach heard me do it, and I haven't done it since because I got reprimanded. Don't come back and unravel what he's already sewn up and tied a knot and a bow on. Let it go. Get back with coach, individually or one-on-one, but let it go. He's done the job. Your upline has done the job. Don't come behind them, because now you've totally just de-edified everything that you edified and everything that they just did. Hang up the phone. Right? Hang up the phone. Get with coach or whoever your mentor is and find out, okay, what would you like me to say to them next? As a matter of fact, here are 5 key words that you want to always remember. If you should be talking to your coach on a daily basis, and 5 words that you should ask every day. What do, and this is terrible grammar, but you'll get the essence. What do I do next? What do I do next? Now, you don't have to say it that way, but I want you to get the essence of it. You should always be asking, okay, coach, what's the next move? Not just assuming because coach may have an idea on how he wants to proceed based on what he learned on that phone call. The other thing you should be doing is taking notes, because you too must become the expert. One day, somebody's going to be calling you to do a 3-way call. And you got to take notes on what coach did so that you understand what to do. Guys, that 3-way call is such a powerful tool. If you do what you're supposed to do, if you follow the protocol, if you edify, very, very, very good. If you study and present yourself well, you're going to do amazing things. It is our desire that we have 5,000 people on our team by December 31st, 2016. And we are well on our way, but we need our amateurs to become experts. And the way you become an expert, and I was listening to Will Smith today, the way you become an expert is you got to focus, and you got to focus, and you got to focus, and you got to study, and you got to study, and you got to study, and you got to train, and you got to train, and you got to train. You got to be so dogged diligent about this thing. And I'm going to tell you something that Bishop said earlier today. He says, listen, you need to lose some weight. And whether that weight is something you got in your mind telling you what you can't do, whether that weight is people in your culture telling you what you should do, whether that weight is people that don't, like you or talking about you or whatever it is, we've got to lose weight and go to work. Shred everything that has nothing to do with your goals. Study this information, guys. It is such an incredibly powerful tool. The 3-way call. Guys, once the expert gets on the phone, if Phil can't close them into signing up, he's going to close them into your next presentation. So make sure he knows when your next presentation is, right? And guys, or he's going to close them, sign them up, and still get them into your next presentation. Either way, we're going to go from second base to third, and then we're going to go from, which is presentation, and then third base to, home, which is to enroll and fast start. And the fast start is going to teach them to get their 3 and live clean for free. Get their 3, live clean for free. Guys, it has been my absolute pleasure. Coach says to go ahead and take the entire call. Go ahead and close it out. And I appreciate that, Coach. Thanks for the opportunity to actually train for you. And I love each and every one of you guys. We are the Compass Group. We ain't no joke. And anybody who's not sure about that should step off the tracks, because we are blowing through. We are not a choo-choo train. We are a straight locomotive. We are going to break Director 1s going into regionals. We're going to break new elites going into regionals. And you just decide where do you want to be, and we're going to take you there. I love each and every one of you. Guys, this has been the Compass Group live Sunday night training, and this call right here is officially over. Go out there and get your peace. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.